On the Choose to Think podcast, I will encourage and empower you to engage and optimize your best thought life in practical, meaningful ways so that you can live day by day in joy, peace, and God's purpose despite all externals. This is Victoria, and welcome back to the Choose to Think podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there, and welcome back to the Choose to Think Inspirational podcast. I'm Victoria, and I'm so glad you're here. And listen, I know that it feels so very hard to take care of yourself, to watch what you eat, to get good sleep, to exercise regularly, and sometimes it feels positively overwhelming. And you think, I just don't have the time, I don't have the money to get and stay fit. I get it. Well, I'm going to take some of the overwhelm out of good nutrition and starting good habits. Now, before we get going into another episode in our Brain Power series, you need to know that I am just an average 21st century Christian woman. I am not a doctor, nor should you engage in any suggestions I make on the show without first consulting your physician. Okay, just out of the gate there. I'm just sharing with you some of the health tips that I like to employ that keep me a fun, fit, and fab kind of nana, which I know you want to be too, because even if you just have small children or grandkids, you want to be able to bend down and pick them up, to ride bikes with them, to go hiking without like passing out. And you also quite likely want to maintain optimal mental, emotional, and physical health. You want energy, lots of it. And what you eat has a lot to do with your overall health. Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into nutrition and your brain. If you're feeling tired, anxious, like you've lost clarity, or maybe you have a bit of brain fog, or maybe on the other side of that, the positive end, you want to build your immunity and you want more energy, especially as we're coming into the holidays, this is the episode for you. Now, I'm going to make this so easy for you because I created it's like a 4-page document. It's a free download that's going to have all the notes, everything that we're talking about here today, because I'm going to give you a lot of information and some bullet points of things to buy at the grocery store. Because in my research on the brain and having a good, healthy brain, the same foods were repeated over and over and over again. So I thought, I'm going to put those on a list, make it easy for you. You print that list out, take it with you when you go to Kroger or the supermarket so that you'll have it right there with you. And then I also summarized the 3 B's that we're going to get into to having better brain health. So make sure you get that link. It's down below if you're watching on YouTube in the show notes, or you can go to the description and find that particular link for the free download. Now, before we get into the 3 B's for optimal brain health, I want to talk about another BBB. But first, if I ask you what's the number one item that protects your brain, you would probably say the skull. Correct. You might remember from anatomy class that there's also a thin layer of fluid called cerebrospinal fluid, and there's a protective membrane around your brain called the meninges. Well, what you might not know, and this is where it gets really curious, is that there's another crucial feature of your central nervous system called the blood-brain barrier, the BBB. Now, the BBB is made up of high-density endothelial cells, similar to the cells in our capillaries, but they're tightly packed and they almost appear wedged together. That's a type of cell they are. And they're both serve as a structural and functional roadblock to microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, or parasites that may be circulating in your bloodstream. The BBB stands between your brain's blood vessels, the capillaries, and the cells and other components that make up your brain tissue itself. So think of the BBB, the blood-brain barrier, as a highly selective gatekeeper or a filter. Okay. Now, if you're as into brain health as I am, and you probably are because you're tuning in, you're going to want to find ways or understand ways to protect your BBB in order to foster that optimal health and wellness that you so desire. Why? So you can avoid the brain fog and have clarity of thought, have more energy, and just feel better all around. We're coming into the holidays, and you may be dreading all that must get done, from hostessing to traveling, from cooking and baking to the temptation to overindulge. I get that. That's why, if you listen all the way to the end of the episode, you're going to find renewed strength and determination, God willing, to start doing better today. You don't have to be perfect and you don't have to do it all the suggestions I'm going to give you, but you can take one step in the right direction. Okay, now you know how important the blood-brain barrier is, that BBB. Remember, it's the gatekeepers keeping the bad things out and letting good things go in. You might be shocked at exactly what can get through and what can't get through this quote barrier. Now, you've probably heard of leaky gut, right? Have you heard of leaky brain? According to a Star Academy article I read, if the BBB is highly permeable, or if like those cells are kind of broken, or there are little gaps or openings or leaks in that, and if items can get through that shouldn't, or if there are highly inflamed areas of your brain, this can lead to a number of different brain and mental health problems and symptoms, including depression, anxiety, cognitive impairment, brain fog, we talked about, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, headaches, migraines, chronic fatigue syndrome, attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, and even schizophrenia. Okay, so all of this begs the question, how can you protect your blood-brain barrier? How can you prevent that leaky brain? In other words, weakening that nice barrier that's there, weakening that. How can you prevent the weakening of that barrier? What can you do about it? So now I'm going to offer you a different BBB, and it's the 3 B's to better brain health. Okay. Number 1 is better diet. Number 2, better beverages. And number 3, better habits. So let's dive in to the 3 B's to better brain health. And wouldn't you like that short list of helpful and healthy food items that can actually make it through or piggyback their way through the BBB? That's what I've given you in that free download. There's a 1-page grocery list there because of all those repeated items. I heard them over and again, and like broccoli is so good for your brain. Over and again, everything's broccoli, broccoli, broccoli. So that's on the list just to jog your memory there. You want to make sure that you get those. So better diet, that's the first B. Think of vitamins and minerals, key veggies and fruits. So I'm going to give you 12 must-haves and 2 things to avoid. The 12 must-haves, and remember, as I talk about this list, go for whole, non-processed, natural or organic foods if you can. Okay. And you know what? If you can't go organic, who cares? Just get the item. We may talk about organic grapes, and if you can't afford organic grapes, go regular grapes, or organic blueberries, go regular blueberries. They're still very, very good for you either way. Don't let, because you're not buying organic, keep you from buying something that is still healthy and good for you. So number 1 is lutein. Okay. And some of these you may or may not have heard of, but you're going to know the veggies or the fruits that I tell you associated with them. Lutein is a carotenoid that is present in the eye and the brain. Think about how closely connected your eye and brain are together. And so it actually readily crosses the BBB. Carotenoids are plant-based pigment nutrients that exist in leafy greens like spinach, kale, broccoli, and peppers. Number 2, vitamin E. It's a proven antioxidant that can cross the BBB to protect cells from oxidative stress caused by destructive free radicals, and it also reduces inflammation of the brain. All right, I'm going to quote something from the National Institutes of Health. It says this: the brain is highly susceptible to oxidative stress, which increases during aging and is considered a major contributor to neurodegeneration. High plasma vitamin E levels were repeatedly associated with better cognitive performance. The foods richest in vitamin E, and that was the end of that quote. But now some foods that are on this list that are richest in vitamin E are nuts and seeds, whole grains, vegetable oils, Think of all the heart smart veggie oils, because what's good for your heart is good for your brain. Okay. It's also found in dark colored fruits such as blueberries, avocados, and blackberries, and vegetables like spinach and bell peppers. Okay. Number three, speaking of all those anti-inflammatories and antioxidants, think resveratrol. Resveratrol. It's a compound found in grapes, red wine, raspberries, and dark chocolate. Number four, omega-3 fatty acids, and it's an essential fatty acid. Now, we get plenty of omega-6s, but often we have to supplement in order to get the omega-3s. Omega-3s, DHA, and EPA. They're stellar brain food for you. They're considered the building blocks for healthy cell membranes, and they support healthy memory, cognition, and emotional well-being. Now, in that download, you're going to see some of my favorite products, the things that I buy. Many of them I use, or some of them are Amazon favorites. And I put on there krill oil supplement that I like. I put the one that I've bought as well as one of Amazon's favorites. So look at those, because otherwise it's like overwhelming when you go to search for something. But I've made it easy on you so that you can get that, because that's one. And the way I look at it, it's kind of they're pricey to me, but I think, okay, right now I'm having 0 krill oil. So even if I don't take the recommended daily allowance or the dosage recommendation on the jar itself, the bottle itself, what if I took 2 a week or 3 a week, and I can lengthen the bottle that way? Isn't that 3 times better than what I was doing before, or 1 times better, or twice as good? I'm doing twice as well as what I was doing before. So that's what I'm saying, where you can just take tiny steps. You don't have to kind of go all in and jump off and go woohoo on this. You can, but sometimes it feels overwhelming to do that. So just start small, and you don't have to do it every day. But if you start doing a good habit once or twice a week, that's so much better than what you were doing before. All right, another thing you want that can cross that brain blood barrier that is so good for you would be those B vitamins. Any kind of foods naturally high in B vitamins would include salmon, leafy greens, and milk. Number 6 is magnesium. Think spinach, chard, pumpkin seeds, almonds, avocado, dark chocolates, bananas. We're saying some of these you're hearing also repeated. Number 7 is sulforaphane, and that's a phytochemical found in cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli. Okay, here we go. Cabbage and Brussels sprouts. And this particular antioxidant has anti-inflammatory qualities also, very similar to curcumin or curcumin, I've heard. Number 8, ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Vitamin C crosses the blood-brain barrier in the oxidized form through some glucose transmitters. So remember, sometimes things are allowed to go through the barrier. Your body says, yes, we're going to let those in, and then other things are kept out. But something else happens is sometimes certain minerals and vitamins and little chemical compounds can actually piggyback on things that are allowed in, and they can get in that way. And that's what happens with vitamin C. That's how it actually crosses the blood-brain barrier, piggybacks through glucose transporters. So there are other things that transport the good guys over. Number 9, curcumin. Think turmeric. All right. It's one of the best compounds for your brain. It can lower your stress hormone and increase your brain's growth hormone. And I'm going to share with you a supplement that I actually take. I try to take this one every day, but I also actually you can consume turmeric. You can put it on salads, on salmon. Make sure you put a lot of black pepper, ground black pepper with that if you're eating it in the natural form. Because one of the reasons I take turmeric is because I play a lot of pickleball. I'm very active, and sometimes I get I've got like tennis elbow, or maybe my joints might hurt, or I suffered with plantar fasciitis, and listen, I don't want to take ibuprofen and Tylenol and all of those kinds of medicines because they can wreak havoc with my gut biome. So a natural remedy and anti-inflammatory is turmeric. So I try to take that every day, and I have such success with that. I think it really helps me. Number 10 is something called acetylcholine. You can think beef and egg yolks for that. Number 11, cinnamon can actually pass through the BBB. And here we are coming on the holidays. Cinnamon reminds me of Christmas for some reason. Just the little cinnamon sticks that are there and the fragrances, the holiday spices. Well, researchers have discovered that clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, and other spices that we bake into some of those baked goods and savory dishes contain nutrients that sharpen memory, reduce stress, improve sleep, among other benefits. And I call her Dr. Uma. She wrote a book. Matter of fact, I have it. I think I have it. No, it's not on that shelf. Maybe it's over here, but it's on Your Brain on Food. I love that book. And then the last suggestion here would be to heal your gut. What you eat has a direct impact on your brain. If you have a leaky gut, you'll likely have a leaky brain. Consuming both pre and probiotic fibers can help increase all the good bacteria in your gut. So think yogurt, sauerkraut, and other fermented foods to help you do that. And remember that there are neurons, as we talked about last Monday in the very first episode in our series, in our brain power series. We talked about how there are neurons, brain cells in your gut, and the vagus nerve transports them. It's like a direct highway, gut to brain. So what you eat really, really matters. And two things to avoid really would be all those artificial sweeteners, food additives, and chemicals that are found in foods, as well as gluten. Okay, especially if you have a known gluten allergy, just make sure that you're going to eat in moderation. And the general thing when it comes to your food and your nutrition and your diet, try to buy things that are organic, that are whole, non-processed foods, and organic if you can get it. Think grass-fed beef, farm-raised items, wild-caught salmon, those sorts of things that are least intervention in as they're cultivated or raised. It's going to be so much better for you if you can afford it. I know my daughter-in-law shops a lot and my daughter and we go to Aldi. Aldi has some really good prices on their grass-fed beef, so you might want to check them out, especially if you have an Aldi nearby. Okay, so better nutrition was the first B. The second B is better beverages. Quick list here: avoid alcohol. Almost all the time you're going to see that's bad for your brain anyway. Drink coffee. Apparently coffee, or the caffeine there, supports the BBB, the blood-brain barrier, but make sure you do it in moderation. Now, energy drinks apparently can wreak havoc and compromise the blood-brain barrier. Drink lots of water. Remember, the rule of thumb is to drink at least half your body weight in ounces. For example, if you weigh 160 pounds, half of 160 is 80. 80 what? 80 ounces in this case. That's what you should be drinking daily. And another little bonus, if you're trying to avoid alcohol, you always hear about red wine, but you can enjoy 4 ounces of organic 100% red grape juice each night, say before you go to bed. That has that resveratrol in it. Okay. All right. And then the third B, better habits. And I'm going to give you 6 in particular. So better diet, better beverage, and better habits to help your brain, and with that emphasis and that focus on the BBB, the blood-brain barrier. Number 1, get plenty of sleep and rest. Allow your brain to repair at night. It's repairing even your thoughts and your memories. All of that is being repaired, and it gives you a chance to reboot, so to speak. Number 2, clean up your environment. Make sure your air is fresh. Remove dust and allergens. Watch out for mold and harsh chemicals. Number 3, exercise. Yes, vitamin D. Get daily doses by playing pickleball outside, for example. Or you may want to have your doctor check your actual vitamin D levels. Most people I've heard in Kentucky are really low. And especially as we come into the fall and winter months, and where it's kind of dreary and cloudy so much, I tend to take a vitamin D supplement, just a little teeny pill that I take, that I'm like, okay, this is helping my brain as well. Number four, another good habit is it might be important or wise to think about all the electric stuff around your head, like your phone. They say to avoid sleeping with your phone or putting it under your pillow, just in case there's some issue there. Take your Fitbit off. I wear my Fitbit, but take it off at night in case there's any kind of interruption of sleep. The fifth one is to reduce stress and pray. And that goes without saying, right? God says, that your body is a temple of his Holy Spirit. And that means there's an opportunity for you to make sure you take really good care of this temple so that you can be physically fit, that you can be emotionally well, spiritually well as well, emotionally and spiritually well. And we desire that, we want that, we need that. And prayer is a big part of what helps us connect to God. Even meditating on God's word is so critically important. And those things help us to reduce our stress because the Bible tells us that we can cast all of our cares on him. And we do that during prayer. We tell him, we pour out our heart to him. We share with him the ups and downs. We confess our sins and our missteps. And we find comfort in the relationship that we have with him. So reducing your stress, praying and meditating on his word, journaling even, those are critically important habits to begin to help take good care of your brain. Remember, your thoughts influence your mind. Your mind influences your emotions and your feelings and your mindsets and eventually your behavior. So that's very important. And that leads me to the final habit that you can start, and that's choosing to think. I couldn't in this episode without mentioning I would call it an extreme, critical impact that your thinking literally has on your brain. And if you're familiar with Dr. Caroline Leaf, you can read her studies on the impact negative thinking has on your brain, literally, where you've literally you're thinking yourself sick, and it's damaging to your brain in so many ways. And they can pull that up on scans. But the good news is that when you start thinking healthy, God honoring thoughts, then your mind, your whole brain, you're actually impacting your brain. You can heal your brain, and God is involved in that entire process with you. Your thoughts matter, and they impact your gray matter. So think healthy thoughts to become healthy, because if your thoughts make you sick, then the good news is your thoughts can also make you well. And that's why I want to share with you this devotional. I want you to get your copy on this devotional. It's called Choose to Think, and this is where you're going to find joy, hope, help, and freedom every day. Why not start your day with a devotional, 5 minutes to kind of set the tone for that day, to remind yourself to choose to think. Talk about being good for your brain. How you start your day is critically important. So many of the best leaders and thinkers that the world has ever known, they have a pattern and a discipline of their morning study time, their Bible study time, their devotional time, their quiet time, their journaling time, their prayer time. They're doing those spiritual disciplines, and they truly impact your day as you go on. And that's what I want for you. So I hope that this episode it's a powerhouse of information. I know that. And I went through everything so quickly. So I want you to get your hands on this particular handout that's available for you. Now, this is not the color copy. It's just one of the drafts as I was creating it, but it's the 3 B's for optimal brain health, going over what we discussed. And then here's the shopping list. All right, this 1-page shopping list with the best foods that you can eat for your brain and to help, those things that can get through that blood-brain barrier. It's going to remind you of those. And then again, some of my favorite products, and then a little bit of ways to stay connected with me. So listen, brain changer, I hope, God willing, that you keep living your best thought life. And if you need anything, I'm right here. If you're listening on the podcast, if you don't mind reviewing the podcast, and if you like what you hear, would you share the link with a friend? That would mean mean the world to us. It would really help us to continue to get the good word out and to continue to challenge other 21st century Christians to take good care of their mind and their bodies. And my little Rico's choking down here. You want to say hi, Vicky? Oh, tomorrow Rico goes to the groomer. Oh, it'll be his first groomer. I usually groom him, but I have to tell you that I don't like a show dog kind of dog. I like mutts. And so I've tried to make my, breed. He's like a real breed dog. I've tried to make him more muddish because I like mutts. I like little mutts and little, messy dogs is what I like. But he's gonna get his nails trimmed and all that. So, oh God, love him. Oh, he's so sweet. Smokey's in another room right now because he was chomping on his toy. But you can reach me at choosetothink@gmail.com. That's with the number 2. And I do mentoring. Did you know that? If you're like, Victoria, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, or I talk about chaos. I don't my mind is just I can't even get my things straight. I don't know where to go. I don't know how I'm going to handle the holidays. I don't know what to do, blah 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 blah. I can help you. I offer complimentary mentoring sessions every single month, and I can take like 3 a month. So I'm so happy to just connect, chat with you. And in 60 minutes, you and I can really, you get your cup of coffee, I'll get mine, and we will go to town trying to let me use what I'm trained to do professionally. I'm a certified Christian life coach, and I can bring to the table something that I think you're going to find very helpful. So reach out to me over at choosetothink@gmail.com. You can email me also the links for the mentoring program. Your free session is all in the description down below on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast, the audio podcast only. So I appreciate you and I thank you for being here. And I know all this health stuff isn't easy, but if you'll try, I'm going to try. Let's do it. We can do it. And even the smallest step makes the biggest difference. Don't grow weary in doing something good and something right and something healthy. And remember, God first, and then everything else tumbles into place. So God bless you and thank you for being here. I love you so much. It's a wrap, Brain Changer. And until next time, Dios primero y que Dios te bendiga. Ciao.